Con Trass runs the apple farm near Cahir in County Tipperary.
The farm was set up originally when my parents moved from Holland to Ireland, and they wanted to have a farm of their own, and in Holland it was very difficult to get land, so they had been to Ireland on their honeymoon and they'd been here on holidays, and they thought it might be a good place to move to grow fruit. But for a long time the fruit production wasn't the biggest part of what was going on the farm. It was at least as much the lack of money in the alternatives that brought us to concentrate on the fruit as the fact that the fruit was doing well. On the farm here altogether, we've got about 30,000 apple trees. Hopefully you'd average maybe 100 apples per tree on the farm. You know, it's giving you a kind of a round figure of maybe 3 million apples or something like that. Nearly one apple for everyone in Ireland.
As well as growing apples, Con is busy harvesting his strawberries.
Obviously, by far the biggest cost when somebody buys a punch of strawberries has been the labour that went into picking that punch of strawberries. A good picker, if you've got lots of good strawberries there, you might pick 6 kilos, 7 kilos in an hour, something like that. Well, there's no machines for picking strawberries. What happens is that you get a few ripe strawberries in amongst many green ones, so a machine can't go and just pick them all off or whatever. So you just need something with a human eye to go along and pick out the ripe one and leave the other ones till later. It means that really machines aren't suited to it. If they were, there'd probably be one big grower somewhere in the middle of Europe supplying all Europe's strawberries.
For a fruit farmer like Con, the most important breed trait is taste.
I suppose if you were to compare apples, to other things you could do in your farm, they're very intensive. I've got a fairly small farm here. Altogether it's 60 acres, and apples require more effort in terms of management and more effort in terms of labour input and just cost and so on.
There are nearly 10,000 distinct apple varieties, but only a handful will be found in the average supermarket, and less than 100 are grown commercially.
I don't think we probably have enough varieties. People have all sorts of tastes, and not everyone is being catered for, I suppose. The way the market works, it's the big 2 or 3 are the ones that are going to make the profits on, and they're the ones that they're going to stuff the supermarket shelves with. The way we tell if the apples are ripe is by having a look at the background colour. So if I can pick that one off, and you can see here, this is perhaps a little bit yellower in shade than that one. That one's a good bit greener in background colour. So this is the ripest of the 3. Well, I do walk through to test them because at this time of year they're ripening quite quickly, and 2 or 3 days can make quite a difference. And 2 or 3 days too ripe is a problem. But taste is the most reliable way to tell, and you can just once they're starting to taste as you want them to taste, you can go in and you can say to the lads, guys, pick these ones and leave those ones on the trees. Those are still a bit green, and they've been doing it for years. They know exactly what to pick, so that's fine.
Any cider drinker will know that Tipperary has a venerable history of apple growing, but the apple is not a native Irish species.
The domestic type apple, the large fruited apple that we're used to eating, that's not native to Ireland. That is thought to come from sort of Kazakhstan area. And it's thought that those seeds were carried to Europe, over the last 1,000 years or so.
On the apple farm, winter settles into its own routine. A mature apple tree can produce up to 200 kilograms of apples. However, large trees are difficult to harvest. Therefore, winter is a time for pruning. With 30,000 trees, it's a job not too dissimilar to painting the Forth Bridge.
Winter in the orchard, it's a little bit bleak, I suppose. The days are short, and you start working and it's barely bright. There are 30,000 trees, and you're only doing one at a time, and one of them takes a good few minutes, and then you're on to the next one, and there's 29,999 left, and so on. But after a while, you start making an impact. You're removing any branches that are in the wrong place or that are diseased or so on. So you have the trees hopefully in a good shape structurally and health-wise for the following year. Literally there's probably 3 guys pruning right through from November to the following April. You get a bit of satisfaction when you have a line of trees that kind of looked a bit different before you started. There was some growing a bit stronger and some a bit weaker and so on. And then when you're finished, they all look very similar and you've kind of brought them exactly to the point where they're hopefully going to start off again. So there is a bit of satisfaction in it, all right. It's convenient to have uniformity rather than important. I suppose it wouldn't be very practical to have orchards where every tree was different. So I suppose I got a kind of a scientific attitude to how I grow things, yeah. Is that a philosophy? If it's nice weather and you're out and you're picking nice apples or driving a tractor up and down the orchard, if you're just mowing it, you know, you haven't a care in the world and all what you've got to worry about is just doing that one job and doing it right.
It may be the best job in the world, but it has to make money.
Most of the money it makes gets put back into, but it's in something new usually, so it's a new building or new cold stores or whatever. So, you know, as a consequence, the money that the farm is making is getting invested into doing something incremental. But, you know, you're not really inclined to stop investing if there are things that you see that need to be done.